YouTube, Dark Magician of Team Sorcerers here, and welcome back to another episode of What If Wednesday. And this is one regarding the first duel between Yugi / Atem and Rafael. And as it states in the title, the question is, what if Yugi used Diffusion on Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight and freed itself from Crystal Seal? Now, I can't really see any reason why this wouldn't have worked. Because Crystal Seal states, target one face-up monster your opponent controls. That monster cannot attack, be tributed, change its battle position, activate its effects, or be targeted for an attack. If your opponent controls no other monsters, you can... monsters... Wait... What the hell? This is a tongue twister. If your opponent controls no other monsters, monsters you control can attack your opponent directly. There we go. If that monster's attack increases, destroy this card. This card cannot be destroyed by card effects. Well, I guess except its own. But it doesn't say on the card that the affected monster cannot be targeted by card effects. So surely Diffusion would have worked. Now, I'm not sure if there's some wacky rule where the legendary dragon fusions are treated as fusion monsters, but I mean, maybe it does state somewhere, but other than that, I don't know why it wouldn't have worked. After all, if Marek can use Diffusion to defuse himself from the Winged Dragon of Ra, even though it's not a fusion monster, then there is no reason why Diffusion wouldn't have worked on Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight. It just doesn't make sense to me. So, for the sake of the video, let's say it would have worked. So, he activates Diffusion, brings back Dark Magician Girl and Eye of Timaeus. Now, from this point, there's a couple of ways this could have gone. And as I was reading the comments of the video done by TGS Anime, was Yugi about to defeat Rafael? Amulet Dragon could have been another option. I guess someone beat me to that thought, but I thought I'd do a video about it. And I don't know, I just feel like Diffusion was overlooked. So here's one way this could have come down, which is what I was originally going to talk about. Yugi could have then refused Dark Magician Girl and Eye of Timaeus and brought back Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight. So yeah, Crystal Seal goes, then he would have activated Hand Control, forced Raphael to activate Necromancy, and then, of course, bring back Big Shield Gardener, Baphomet, Gazelle the King of Mythical Beasts, and Curry Babylon. Then I feel like what Yugi then would have done is sacrifice Curry Babylon and Baphomet to tribute summon Dark Magician. Then he enters his battle phase, Dragon Knight attacks Guardian Graal, and he would then discard the Seal of Orichalcos, and then Guardian Graal is finally destroyed, and Purity of the Cemetery goes to the graveyard. Then attacks directly with Dark Magician, although of course Raphael will still activate Aid to the Doomed. Then main 2, now he did have magical hats in hand, so thinking about it, why didn't Yugi set magical hats? It could have provided him some potential protection for later on. That's something else that I was puzzled about. So, yeah, he would probably set magical hats and end his turn. Rafael would then still use Monster Rebirth, put Guardian Roll back in the deck, then activate Swords of Revealing Light and end his turn. Yugi then draws into Catapult Turtle, and I guess he would probably consider the strategy of using the burn effect of Catapult Turtle. But it also depends whether or not the duel would even continue, because Raphael's aim here was to manipulate Yugi or Atem into activating the seal themselves, but by discarding it for Dragon Knight's effect, it would have proved Raphael wrong, that there's like no darkness, if not bugger all darkness, in his heart. So, yeah, it would have foiled that plan, but I don't think... I'm not sure Raphael would have been the type to abandon the duel just like that. So, I guess the duel still would continue. I guess that's another scenario. Oh god. Sorry, nose is a bit tickly still. Anyway, yeah. So, at this point, Yugi would probably sacrifice Big Shield Gardener for Catapult Turtle still. But then at this point, Raphael would still activate Limit Tributes, and I guess I should say Atem here, or Yugi. But yeah, either way, he ends his turn. Then on Raphael's turn, he would still activate Nightmare Binding and use it on Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight. And if I remember correctly, it just says the affected monster loses 800 attack, and then you gain 800. So yeah, Dragon Knight drops down to 1800, and Raphael's life points go up to 38 still, because, well, he still hasn't taken any battle damage, and the only life point loss was from self-tribute. And I think that was it for that turn. So then Yugi then draws Archfiend of Guilther, and I guess at this point, in order to try and do some damage, he would probably use Catapult Turtle's effect to tribute Gazelle, inflict 750 points of damage to Raphael, dropping him to 3150. He then summons Sangan in defense, or sets him. I guess it doesn't really matter in the anime, and ends his turn. Then Raphael draws, I think, Morale Boost and Shrink. He sets Shrink and ends his turn. And then this is where, then penultimate turn, Yugi draws a mysterious card. It is kind of annoying that we don't know what this card is, but we can probably break down what this card is not. It's not a level 4 or lower monster, otherwise Yugi would have put it on the field. Then again, he didn't put Sangan on the field in the episode for some reason. I don't know. But I think we can still deduce that it's not a level 4 or lower monster, and it is also not a trap card, otherwise he would have set it face down. We can also determine that it's not Swords of Revealing Light, because otherwise he probably would have played it. maybe. It's also not Living Arrow. If it was, he would have destroyed Raphael's Source of Revealing Light. Although, regarding Living Arrow, I don't know whether or not it gets rid of one face-up spell or multiples, like Spell-Shattering Arrow. It's hard to say. Assuming it does destroy multiple face-up spells, like the real-life version, it would have also got rid of Rod of Silence and Guardian Treasure, which would have then stopped Raphael drawing Guardian Eatos. In any case, though, we can determine that it's not Spell-Shattering Arrow, most probably, and it's also not an equip spell that could be equipped to either Catapult Turtle, Dark Magician, or Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight. So it wouldn't be something like Horn of the Unicorn, Magic Formula, or Excalibur. So, yeah, that's what we can easily determine. So whatever this card was must have been a brick, like a level 5 or higher monster, or an unplayable spell, like Blackluster Ritual, or Black Magic Ritual, or whatever. So at this point, I feel like Yugi would have then used Catapult Turtle's effect, sacrificed Sangan, and done Raphael 800 points of, not 800, 500 points of damage, dropping him to 2650. He then would have activated Sangan's effect to search for a monster with 1500 or less. But it's hard to say what would have helped in this situation. If it were me, I would choose either Waterpon or 4-star Ladybug of Doom. I can't remember the level of Guardian Chaos, but I can look it up real quick, because I'm pretty sure that Backup Gardener is a level 4 monster. If Waterpon was chosen, it would have been special summoned to the field, and then that would have set up tribute fodder for Archfiend of Gilfer. Oh, and Guardian Chaos is in fact a level 4 monster. Let's have a look at Backup Gardener. Oh yeah, it is also a level 4 monster. So had that been an option, he could have added it and set it, and then he would have been able to destroy both Guardian Chaos and Backup Gardener on the following turn. So, yeah, either of these would have been a good strategy. So with that, Waterpon or 4-star Ladybug would have been put on the field, and Yugi ends his turn. Now, come Raphael's turn, this is where he would draw Celestial Sword Eatos and Guardian Eatos, and he would have summoned it, and then, let me think, the monsters that would have been banished, I guess, would have been Sangan, Gazelle, Big Shield Gardener, what was after that? Curry Babylon, and Berthamet. So, yeah, that's 5 monsters that Celestial Sword would have banished, and I believe it gains the attack points of those monsters. So Celestial Sword puts her on 2800, then Sangan puts it on 38, Gazelle puts it up to 53, Big Shield Gardener 54, Curry Babylon nothing, because apparently in the anime it has no attack points, and its attack points are determined by the attack points of the Kariba brothers. So yeah, still 54. Then Berthamet would have put her on 6,800. Assuming the maths is right there. So at this point, Guardian Eatos would attack either Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight. And then at this point, Yugi would activate magical hats to shuffle the monsters, and whatever gets hit would determine the outcome of the duel. Because if the hat with Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight gets hit, then Yugi loses the duel right there and then. And then I guess things would have played out the same way after that. Without the seal, no souls are lost, but it would sort of knock Atem's confidence, and I guess Yugi's confidence, a little bit. But I guess things wouldn't have been as bad as Yugi's soul being taken in the original timeline. So, other than that, everything else plays out pretty much the same way after that. Now, if the hat with Catapult Turtle is hit, then, well, I feel like the smarter thing to do would have been to put Catapult Turtle in defense. I know in the anime it looks like he summoned it in attack mode, but the problem is it's hard to determine, really. And then I guess after that, it would depend on what Yugi draws afterwards, because the problem is we don't know what he could get afterwards. This also applies if Waterpon or the 4-star Ladybug of Doom gets hit. So, depending on what was searched off Sangan, had 4-star Ladybug of Doom been searched and hit, then Backup Gardener and Guardian Chaos would have been destroyed. And with no further plays after that, Rafael would have ended, and then it's really, again, it's difficult to determine what would have been drawn afterwards. I also don't know if the battle position of a monster can be changed if said monster is hiding in the magical hats. So, the issue is it's really hard to say how things would have gone. Now let's assume that backtrack, instead of going for Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight, Yugi would have summoned Amulet Dragon instead. So again, Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight is defused, and hand control is activated, and Necromancy instead brings back 3 monsters, because Eye of Timaeus is taking up a space. And it's, I think because it's apparently random, it would have been hard to determine. um, what would have been brought back. Let's just say, for instance, Big Shield Gardener, Gazelle and Baphomet were chosen. The, Gazelle and Baphomet still would have been sacrificed to tribute summon Dark Magician. Then Eye of Timaeus would have fused with Dark Magician and made Amulet Dragon. Now, his attack points would be hard to determine exactly, especially since in the anime it gains 300 for each banished spell instead of 1, and there's only 5 or 6 spells in both graves accounted for. So in Raphael's there would have been Exchange and Self-Tribute in his, whereas in Yugi's graveyard there was Necromancy, of course, Card of Sanctity, Pump Up, 5-star Twilight, and Polymerization. So actually that's a total of 7 spells definitely accounted for, but what makes this hard is the 5 cards that Raphael discarded. Now, obviously those cards wouldn't have been monster cards, otherwise Purity of the Cemetery wouldn't have worked. But it's hard to determine if they were all spells, or all traps, or a mixture of spells and traps. So it's really hard to determine, which kind of makes it frustrating. But I feel like if any of them were traps, then Raphael would have probably set them and not activated Guardian Treasure. Or even if they were all traps, they wouldn't have been able to be used. But from the 7 we do know that are in the graveyard, so let's see, 7 300s, that would make Amulet Dragon gain 2100 at least, putting it on 5000. Making it go toe-to-toe with 5-headed dragon. Now, whether or not there would have been any more spells, it's hard to say, but assuming they're not, Amulet Dragon's attack points are 5000, and with Dark Magician in the graveyard, Dark Magician Girl gains 300. So, Yugi enters the battle phase, and has Amulet Dragon attack and destroy Guardian Graal, doing 2000 points of damage to Raphael, dropping him to 1000, and then oh wait, I also just realised earlier that when I talked about Dark Magician attacking, he wouldn't have been able to get over Backup Gardener or target Guardian Chaos for an attack, so Aid to the Doomed wouldn't have worked, wouldn't have been activated. So yeah, that would be the case here. So yeah, because Dark Magician Girl can't get over Backup Gardener, Yugi then sets Magical Hats and ends his turn, and then things just basically play out the same way. Raphael uses Swords of Revealing Light, Yugi draws Catapult Turtle, but I don't know if he would have actually summoned it at this point. So he probably would have set Sangan in defence, or summoned Sangan in defence, and ended his turn. Then, come Raphael's turn, he still would have used Nightmare Binding, this time targeting Amulet Dragon, making it lose 800, dropping it to 4200, and then Rafael gains 800, putting him on 1800. It ends his turn. Then Yugi then draws Archfiend of Gilfer. I guess I still don't think he would have gone for the catapult turtle strategy in this scenario, so he probably would have sacrificed Sangan and brought out Archfiend of Gilfer in defence. Sangan's effect would have then activated, allowing him to once again add a monster with 1500 or less. Again, he would have chosen either Waterpon or 4-star Ladybug of Doom. But I don't think there'd be much reason to add Waterpon in this situation, so I feel like 4-star Ladybug of Doom would have been added, so that way he can at least try and get rid of Guardian Chaos and backup Gardener. So that's what he chooses, and then he ends his turn. Rafael then draws again, sets Shrink, and ends his turn. Now, because the deck would have been shuffled when he searched off Sangan, it then would have been hard to determine what Yugi would have drawn at this point. So it just leaves it open to how things would have gone afterwards. So it's hard to say. I guess maybe for the sake of plot convenience, there probably would have still been a way for Rafael to win, or he could have just abandoned the duel completely. Or maybe not so much, because the Seal of Orichalcos is still in Yugi's hand at this point, because he didn't go for Dragonite and discard it. So, yeah, it's really difficult to determine how things would have gone. But yeah, that's basically what would have happened if Yugi used Defusion on Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight. Either Raphael would have still won anyway, or if Magical Hats was involved and it saved Yugi from being gamed by Guardian Eatos, it's sort of open and hard, really difficult to determine how the duel would have gone. I mean, if by some miracle Yugi was able to win without the Seal of Orichalcos, then Raphael would have been frustrated and then flown off in the helicopter and been like, "You may have won this time, Pharaoh, but I'll be back for your soul." That wasn't a great Raphael impression, but you get the idea. So I guess not much would have really changed. I mean, no souls would have been taken in that duel, but other than that, not much would have been different. Well, what do you guys think? Anyway, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.